All right, ladies and gentlemen, start your engines. We have not busted out a tier list in quite some time, but with the season starting just around the corner, some big changes coming into the patch notes, I figured this is the perfect opportunity to discuss what's going to be bad, what's going to be good, what's OP, what you should play, what you should avoid. And yeah, there's no better way to do that than a patented Venruki tier list. Not actually patented, but the tier list is hot fire. So we're gonna be going through this tier list. I played a ton of games this last week and like the preseason. I don't expect too much more to change. Obviously some massive nerfs coming in, slight buffs as well for some stuff, but overall I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of what healers are good, what melee are good, what DPS are good, what range DPS are good. So let's do this. Okay, so as always, we will do S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier. I'm actually going to remove, delete this row. And for F tier, let's put in nobody here. These are the specs nobody cares. Okay, so we can start that one off. We'll start off nobody cares, and we'll just throw all the tanks in there, okay? Now, I'm going to be doing this tier list with my Twitch chat, if you guys are watching this on YouTube. So if they feel like I'm way out of line on anything here, I would be curious to hear it. But in general, this is just going to be kind of like a 3v3 solo shuffle, Battleground Blitz tier list-ish kind of thing. Like nothing too specific, just the kind of general what classes and specs are going to be looking good. I don't want to be too hyper specific. Here we go. Okay, all the tanks, nobody cares. No offense if you're a tank player, congratulations, but yeah. All right, guys, let's freaking do this. Now, I might need your help on some of these. I think, what do you guys want to start off with? Melee DPS, range DPS, or healers? Because I kind of like to do them in order. I want to add a little caveat. Like I said, I've been playing a lot, so I think I have a pretty good idea, but there are some changes coming in that haven't been tested yet. So this isn't a tier list that I am 100% certain about, but this is a 90+% accuracy. You know, just in case I'm way wrong about any of these, I'm giving myself a little bit of an out, but I'm going to start off with a specialization that I've been having a lot of fun with. So Windwalker Monk, for the first time in a very long time, actually, I'm excited to play it. I'm excited to play it. I think some of the changes they've added, you know, having 90 seconds won the Tiger, being unable to be crowd controlled during your Conduit of the Celestials, having slicing winds as extra burst, as well as like the range DPS if you're playing the Crackling Lightning build. Windwalker Monk finally feels like it's got kind of some cool things you can play around, and it's not as one-dimensional. And I'm really excited. I think it will be, even though it's getting some nice nerfs, I'm going to put the Windwalker Monk in the A tier. One thing I also want to keep in mind is that some of these classes are going to get weaker with more stamina. Like stamina is going up as well. Okay, so here we go. Anyways, Windwalker Monk, A tier. Let's go. Next up, let's do Arms Warrior. So Arms Warrior right now is Giga Omega S tier. I still think it's going to be really strong. It'll have some of those classic weaknesses that Warriors do. But the nice thing about Warriors in general is because of some of the changes they made in the general tree for Warriors, every single warrior is going to be able to play the Spear of Bastion, or whatever it's called, the Champion Spear, which is really, really cool. Like, having that extra little bit of utility, not losing the damage on Dragon Roar, and being able to pin someone down with that Champion Spear, I think is nice. I'm going to be putting them in the A tier, even with the nerfs. They're getting Mortal Strike nerfs, they're getting Colossus Smash, or Demolish nerfs. So, yeah, I'll put in the A tier. Fury Warrior, very similar. Seems really strong right now. If you like, without the changes, I'd put Fury and Arms Warrior at S tier, but with some of the nerfs that are coming in, I think both of them are going to be really solid. At least A tier specs. And remember, A means like 9 out of 10. Okay? S is like 10 out of 10, really doesn't have a weakness. Honestly, I feel like there's a lot of stuff. Okay, so let's go with Havoc Demon Hunter. Havoc Demon Hunter, from what I've seen, because now they're playing Eldraki Reaver, their survivability has gone up a lot. They get double glimpse, which is really good. Gives you more uptime in the air, taking reduced damage, more mobility, more immunity to crowd control. And it seems like it does a shit ton of damage. I'm going to be putting in the A tier as well. So far, all of these melee are in the A tier. Like, and that's the thing. But one of the things I've noticed, B tier, I'm not putting in a B tier. One of the things I've noticed about a lot of these specs is it seems like or entering kind of like a mop-ish style of game where everything is really strong. There's not that many things that are weak that I've noticed right now. So you're going to notice that a lot of these specs I have are at A tier, which I think, yeah, I think is totally fair. Frosty K right now, honestly, so Frosty K is an interesting one because I can't help but feel like with the redesign, it's even more gimmicky than before. So I think what they wanted to do is make Frosty K's less gimmicky, but it's more gimmicky. And I think when you start fighting better opponents, the way Frosty K wins, especially now that Remorseless Winter is nerfed, I'm not a huge fan. I'm not a huge fan of the change. I think it'll still have its place. Like maybe in Battleground Blitz and big team fights, it could be strong, but I think in general, it's a little bit more niche. It's going to be the first melee I put at B tier, especially with the Remorseless Winter nerfs. I can't really see it being better than that. And everyone having more stamina as well. Yeah, it kind of negates the cheesiness. Next, we have Unholy Death Knights. Unholy Death Knights seem to be quite strong right now. Their durability might be an issue. Like maybe they can be trained by these melee cleaves and die, but I'm not 100% sure. It seems like their range DPS has gone up. Their damage is pretty hard to avoid. I've been impressed with the Unholy Death Knights that I've fought in so far. Their damage is sky high at the moment, and apparently their tier set is really strong. So I'm putting Unholy at A tier as well. So if you notice, like I said, a lot of these specs are good. I'm having a hard time even thinking of what's worse than B tier. Like, what is the worst melee in the game right now? Because I don't know if there is any. Enhancement Shaman. I know Enhancement Shamans are really, really broken. I think Big Dam's been having a good time. I think Enhanced in general with the rework, their damage is really, really high. Their durability is good. Like, I'm thinking minimum A tier as well. Minimum A tier. Survival sucks. Well, I have Jimmy Jobs in my stream. He's telling me that survival is completely broken and it's going to get nerfed. Ellie feels like ass. Yeah, I don't know too much about Ellie. We're not working on Ellie just yet, but Enhancement Shaman I think is in a really good spot for the season start. I think the rework that they did is quite good. Feral's S. I actually do think so. I am gonna put Feral in S tier. They're getting some nerfs. So here's my logic. Okay, I think Ferals are ridiculously strong right now. Going into this season, they are getting a few nerfs, right? Like they got nerfs on their Berserk. I think they got nerfed on their Ferocious Bite in the recent patch. Cyclone obviously got nerfed, but one of the big problems with Ferals this week is some of these other classes like Windwalker, Arms Warrior, Fury, like all these classes are just running them down. So they're not able to utilize their kit as well. But now that some of these classes are getting nerfed and stamina's going up, and when versatility gets higher with the honor gear, I think Ferals are once again going to be in that position where they're going to be able to utilize their full kit with cyclones and stuns, not have to spend the whole game in bear form, and they'll be really, really strong. So my prediction is they're still going to be one of the S tier melee. Next. Let's go with Survival Hunter. What are we thinking for Survival? The damage and burst of Survival seems ridiculous, and I don't know if it's getting nerfed. It has a massive one-shot right now. I'm gonna trust Jimmy Jobs. Jimmy Jobs, I'm gonna phone a friend for this one. Said it's A. Maybe super high B. Nah, we're putting it at A. We got a theme to stick with right now. Survival Hunter is gonna be going at A. I'm not putting it at B. I don't think it's as gimmicky as Frosty K. The damage seems really, really high. I think it's got a nice robust kit. So I'm liking where Survival Hunter's at right now. Rogue specs, I'm just gonna be completely honest with you. If history is to repeat itself, rogues are always broken, and all three specs will probably be S tier. Yeah, at least in like threes, right? But I don't know if that's necessarily the case right now. My anticipation is that both Assassination and Outlaw Rogue will probably be S tier, and that Subtlety Rogue will be A tier. Sub is B. I don't think that Sub is B. I think Sub will be A tier. I'm not 100% sure on the damage of Outlaw and Assassination, but I think their new talent, their new Feint talent, making them basically immune to death in subs, or in stuns with a damage reduction, is going to be good. I would imagine for threes that both Outlaw and Assassination are going to be S tier, but I said this wasn't necessarily a threes thingamabob, but I still think they're actually Outlaw and Assassination could be S tier in solo shuffle as well. Venruki, you can be a little bit more harsh. So many classes are in A. I know, but I don't think that these classes are bad. I actually think right now we're in a situation where many specs are good. I know this looks weird, and the distribution of specs isn't what you would expect, right? You'd expect most classes to be in B, but I don't know. I feel confident that a lot of these specs are really strong right now. Is that all the melee? I think it is, right? Oh, ret paladins. They're kind of range DPS. All right, we're gonna put ret up here in A tier. Ret isn't A tier, it's B at best. I think ret's good. I think ret is super solid right now. Cool. All right, this is that's it for melee DPS. As you can see, many S tier specs, many A tier specs, and then Frosty K I think is overall the most one-dimensional and niche. All right, let's do healers. So I'll start off with what I think is probably going to be the worst healer, Holy Priest. I'm going to put Holy Priest at a solid C tier. I think Holy Priest is like, it's a throughput healer, right? It has the potential to be good, but I think one of the big problems with throughput healers is just damage is so sky high that if you don't have damage reduction... I was having this conversation with Supatees, and this is actually a similar problem to raiding. It's a similar problem in raiding and Mythic Plus right now with healers in general, where if you are a healer, like let's say you're a Holy Priest versus Disc, and you're in like a really high key, okay? We'll use Mythic Plus as an analogy. You're in a really high key, and there's all these one-shot mechanics, like damage is going up, and eventually it gets to the point where it one-shots you. Your healing could be infinity billion, but if you just get one-shot to mechanics, it doesn't really matter, you know? So that's why Disc in general is much more played than Holy, because it actually has damage reduction to not get one shot. HPS is nice, but if people are just dying instantly in one, you know, a quick little CC chain and you have no damage reduction to really back it up, and not only that, HPS healers are the most susceptible to dampening. I feel like Holy Priest needs something else. He needs to bring something else to the table. But yeah, I do suspect it'll be the worst healer again. Next, we are going to go with... I'm going to put Resto Druid at B tier. I think Resto Druid is going to suffer a similar fate. It got a new ability, which is really cool, depending on who you ask, where you can Nature Swiftness and basically go immune to crowd control and damage and all that stuff. I think one of the problems right now is that ability is completely bugged and literally makes you immune to death. Like, right now, you go in tree form, you're immune to magic, you're immune to death, you're immune to everything. And it's still not great. Like, Druid still doesn't feel that good. You kind of just still die. So, I think it's a similar problem. It's like, it brings a lot of HPS to the table, but you're very susceptible to one-shots and falling behind, and I just don't think Druid... I could be totally wrong about this one, but I think Druid's going to be pretty average in the grand scheme of things. Healers that I am excited about... Resto Shamans. I think Resto Shaman's very strong right now. You'll notice we are moving up to the A tier. So I think Resto Shaman, from what I played, you have the Infinite Earth Shield. They're bringing Sky Fury. I'm really interested to see how Sky Fury works with Resto Shaman on your Nature Swiftness. Zen said Holy's broken right now. You guys, there's certain people that play a spec. And listen, this is no disrespect to Zen. Zenolin is a GOAT Holy Priest, okay? I love him. He greatly overestimates Holy Priest's strength. Even when Holy Priest is the worst healer in the game, he says they're broken. So I can't fully trust what he says, because every single time he talks about Holy Priest, he thinks they're the best healer in the game, even if they're trash. So I think he's coped up a little bit, and I love the guy, I really do. But I can't take what he says about Holy Priest seriously. Like, you know, there's like certain arcane players that are like that too. Before you rate sub, watch this. All right, let's take a quick little intermission. What's this? What's this?
Not sure how that fear broke. All I did was press a shuriken throw for like...
Yeah, sub's definitely bad. Okay, so anyway, I'm still gonna keep it at A tier for now. I will redo this tier list after a week. Okay, we'll have an updated tier list after a week. But this is my prediction for the start of the season. Okay. Anyways, Resto Shaman, I like a lot of the stuff that they did. I think they made Resto Shaman more fluid to play. It looks great. People are happy. Their heals are good. I have high hopes for Resto Shaman. So I'm going to put it at A tier, and I think a lot of healers right now are kind of falling into that category. The one healer I personally think is kind of above the rest right now, from my own experience, is Disc. I think Disc, the way they reworked them, it looks amazing. I feel like you have multiple different spec options you can go with. You've got good damage reduction. You've got good HPS. Like, I think Disc it's going to be the S tier healer, in my opinion. In my opinion, of course. Got good offensive pressure, good defensive pressure, good cooldown trades, like lots to offer. So yeah, I'm gonna put it up at S tier for now. What other healers are looking pretty good? Mistweaver Monk. I've been messing around a lot on the Mistweaver Monk. Once again, I feel like great changes. Crackling Jade Lightning, unfortunately, is getting, well, fortunately or unfortunately, is getting some nerfs, depending on who you ask. But some of the changes they made to Shay Loons gives you a really, which is basically like, as you're playing, these little clouds drop on the ground, and then you can use your ability Shay Loons, and it just tops someone off really, really quick. It's super strong. Having another instant heal that you can weave in is really nice. So I think Mistweaver Monk's going to be in a good spot. Got a good amount of answers. For Battleground Blitz specifically, they did nerf it so you can't port with the flag anymore. So in terms of Battleground Blitz, Mistweaver Monks are getting a little bit of a hit. But yeah, I think they're really solid, and I have high hopes for Mistweavers this season. Next healer on the list is Paladin. Now, this is one I'm not 100% sure on, but I feel like Paladins are still pretty solid. From like the solo shuffles that I've played and the twos that I played against Paladins, the one thing I've noticed is Paladins go out of mana faster than other healers. At least in my experience so far, like Paladins have the biggest mana issues, but their throughput still seems good. Like, they've got decent utility. They were the Giga S tier healer, but a lot of the things that made them so broken got nerfed. Holy Paladin's B tier. You think Holy Paladin's down with Resto Druid? All right, Holy Paladin's in the middle. It's the high middle, right? A tier is the high middle. Prez Evoker has been the most offensive healer that I've seen so far, even more so than Disc. The damage Prez does seems really high. I think part of me wants to put Prez at S tier. I kind of want to put Prez at S tier because I think with some of the one of the problems with Prez right now is the damage is so high. Stamina is low, damage is so high. I really think that Prez is going to be up there with Disc. I think a good Prez is going to be up there with Disc in basically all parts of the game. I think it's super good right now. S? Yeah, I think so. Resto Shaman and Disc being the top healers. Well, the thing is, a lot of the healers are good. I think Prez Evokers are really underrated. Like I said, I think right now, I think there might even be some bugs. CD was tweeting out about some bugs with their healing. They're not healing as much as they're supposed to, but yeah, their damage is still insane. I think as, you know, the game slows down a little bit with more stamina and versatility getting higher, they're going to be able to weave in more offensive globals, and their damage and pressure is really, really high. So this is just for shuffle. Nah, it's kind of for everything. I don't want to be like, I'll try to be specific with certain things. Like if something's only good in one thing, then I'll say that. But yeah, I think Prez is really strong. Mistweaver Monk feels good too. Shaman, Paladin. Then we got Resto Druid in B tier and Holy Priest in C tier. So I think this is where the healers are falling. At this point, there's a chance that Resto Shaman could be higher. It could be S tier. Maybe Paladin's slightly weaker, but I think this is fair for the time being. Put Prez at the top at A. Nah, I'm gonna leave it where it is at S tier. I think I'm right about this one, and I'll be the first to admit when I'm wrong. The next, I'm telling you guys, when we go in and we played another week, I'll be making another tier list, and I'll admit if I was wrong on any of these. Okay, but this is what I'm feeling right now. Okay, so next up we have Mark's BM. This is the range DPS. Boomy, Devastation Evoker, Augmentation Evoker, Shadow Priest, Destro Warlock, Affliction, Demo, Frost, Arcane, and Fire and Ellie. So I think I can't tell if Elemental Shaman is actually bad or not. Like, I know it seems like it's worse But is it actually bad? Because a lot of people are freaking out that it's like absolute trash. But I have a hard time believing that. It's worse than Ellie. It was completely broken before the patch. It was S tier. 100% Elemental Shaman was S tier. Now the question is, did it come down from S tier to A or B? What do you guys think? My gut is telling me it's B tier, but I kind of feel like it's not. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put it at A. Because yeah, I'm gonna put it at A. B at best, B for sure, B or C. Really? Are you sure? I don't want to be too influenced by you guys. I'm actually not that confident in this one in particular. It's A. I'll put it at B, but this is like a question mark. Yeah. Put too many classes at A, spread them out a bit. Well, I think there's a lot of A tier right now, man. I really do. I mean, I could maybe make some adjustments to some of these melee. Like we could do, I could do this. Here, I'll do this. I'll put Frost at C tier. I don't really feel good about putting Frost at C tier though. Nah, I'm not doing it. I'm not listening to you guys. I'm listening to myself. All right, anyways, we'll put Ellie at B. I'll put Ellie at B. Next up, we have Beast Mastery Hunter. Beast Mastery Hunter wasn't looking too good, but it got the fattest buffs I've ever seen. It literally got a 10% overall damage buff. It doesn't even seem bad right now, and it's getting a 10% damage buff, which is absolutely insane. There's no way it's not S tier. It could be, or it could be, sorry, there's no way it's not A tier. It could be S tier. BM is going to be insane. Like, am I wrong about that? They reverted it? Oh, did they? Okay, good. I must have missed that. Wait, did they revert that? Let me just confirm that really quick. BM got nerfed. Let's see. Where are these changes you're talking about? Doesn't feel great as someone that played it a lot last season, but with the 10% damage buffs, I don't think that they did revert it because I haven't seen that. Yeah, their tier set got nerfed, but all their damage got buffed by 10%, which is crazy. It didn't get reverted. You guys, I don't think you understand how big 10% damage on every ability is. That's a lot. I will put it at A tier until further testing, but I'm leaning towards S tier. So I'll put it at A tier for now. Let's think here. Aug Evoker. So Aug Evoker, I haven't had a chance to test, but people are telling me it's just garbage now. Like, it's not the worst. It probably has some like gimmicky one-shot you could do, but for the most part, I think Aug is just a significantly worse Dev Evoker. It's just a cheesy Dev Evoker. It brings slightly more defense, but just less overall offense, and it's not enough utility to really be that exciting. I think Aug is maybe Dedge. It might be D tier. D for Dedge. It'd be C tier, but I think I'm gonna put Aug at D for now. I'm not feeling good about the cheese of Aug Evoker. On the flip side, you have Dev Evoker, which actually feels insane. Dev Evoker's in a really good spot right now, I think. So I'm gonna put it up at A tier with a lot of these other specs. I think overall, really solid, brings good offense, good utility, good defense. I think Devastation in general is one of the least played specs. If you guys are looking for a fun range DPS spec, I swear Dev is a great option. It's super fun. It's not overly complicated, but the buttons you have feel really meaningful. It's awesome. Some people hate on it just because of the way it looks, but I feel like that's discrimination, honestly. So S Dev Evoker, yeah. You think Dev is S tier? I don't know about that. Possible, but I'm not gonna put that for now. All right, few range DPS specializations left. Let's go with Marksmanship Hunter. So Marksmanship Hunter, you guys correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure Marksmanship Hunter dodged all the nerfs, right? Am I right? Am I wrong about that? I'm pretty sure Marks dodged all the nerfs. Somehow, like, Marksmanship Hunter is wild right now. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like Thug Cleave and Jungle could be completely insanely overpowered. The damage of Marks feels good. People are telling me I should put it at A tier, but I'm thinking S tier maybe. I think it might be up there at S, guys. Am I crazy? Is it like... Is that just like my mage coming through? Relax. I think it's S, man. Yeah. I think Marks is going to be the first S tier DPS. Like, it is really, really good. I love playing without the pet too. Marks Hunter, I think the rework on Marks has been really good so far. And you're crazy, it dies easily. You can't cast that much. I'm not a Hunter player. You are crazy, it dies easy. Well, it definitely doesn't die easy. I don't think it dies easy. I disagree. MM is very clunky. I'm logging on my MM Hunter, bro. We're going to play that. We're going to play my MM Hunter after this. It's pretty squishy. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not so sure about that. I think right now, when the game is the craziest I've seen, it's still not that squishy. And you have to keep in mind, damage is going down for a lot of these OP specs. Stamina is going up. I think Marks is going to be in a really good spot. But we'll see. Next up, we have Fire Mage. Fire Mage has been one of the weaker specs for Mage the last couple seasons, or at least the last season. Calvish, I think, was the only Mage to get rank 1 on it. He made it look good. So you watch Calvish, Fire Mage looks good. They got some changes. One of the biggest things for Fire Mages is this thing called Overpowered Barrier, where it basically makes your barrier stronger and reflect damage. And it's giga broken, but that's getting nerfed. It's getting shot in the face. It'll probably still be good, but not completely broken. Another thing that Fire has going for it is its tier is very good. So its foreset is just insane. It's just more damage when you combust. When you pop combust, you do like 10% more damage or something like that, which is wild. So Fire Mage, I think, is going to be A tier. I think it's going to be very competitive with the other Mage specs. It still has the disadvantage of being a little bit squishy, but I think with Overpowered Barrier, it might be able to keep them alive. I don't really know, but I have a good feeling about Fire Mage. You're disagreeing with me on this one? Fire is going to be the best DPS class with tier set. You're disagreeing with me. It's going to be top of S tier. Yeah, you feel free to disagree with me. I don't. Yeah, we'll see. I think if we're in a meta of marksmanship hunters, I kind of doubt we'll see that, but maybe I'm wrong. I do think Fire is going to be good though, for sure. And in fact, all the mage specs I think are really solid. I would say my biggest issue right now with Frost Mage is that it actually doesn't have tier. So we're entering a patch right now where tier for a lot of these specs is just insanely good. Insanely good. Like, we'll talk about some of them in a little bit, but tier is very strong, and Frost Mage literally doesn't have a tier. Its tier is the worst. I think Frost probably has the worst tier in the game. I would be amazed if there was a worse tier. Frost tier is you have a chance to AoE Frostbolt. You shoot out a barrage of Frostbolts on everyone. It's actually complete garbage. You won't even use the tier set. Yeah, so Frost Mage, I think one of the big problems with it is, even though it's like a very strong spec, it's going to lose relative power without any kind of bust because it doesn't have a tier set. It's really bad. Really, 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 really bad. So Fire getting an amazing tier, Frost getting no tier. You're not going to use any tier on Frost. Which maybe it's okay. Maybe you'll just be able to stack a ton of versatility and haste. One thing to mention with tier set as well is a lot of the secondary stats are trash. So then we have Arcane. So Arcane just got some wonderful changes where they buffed Arcane Barrage and Arcane Missiles. They nerfed Touch of the Magi a little bit, but I think it's overall a net buff for Arcane. Arcane also has an insanely good foreset. I think it's guaranteed A tier. I think all three specs of mages right now are A tier. There's maybe a chance that some of them are S tier, but I have to wait and see. One thing I want people to really be mindful of is mages did get some nerfs, right? Like, altar time being nerfed is noticeable. It's going to be very noticeable in solo shuffle. So, yeah. We will see what ends up happening, but I do think overall, mages are really solid. He doesn't put in S tier, so it doesn't get nerfed. Look at this dude. I hate to say this, guys. Like, I'm just going to tell you this right now. Blizzard does not look at my tier lists and make balancing decisions. I know you might feel that way, but it's not true at all. So you don't have to worry. And I also want to point out there's been plenty of time I put mages in S tier. Okay, so please, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. All right. So, mages, they're sorted. A tier, all 3 specs of mage looking good. We'll see which one ends up being the best. Next. Let's go with, you know what? Let's just have a fun one. Affliction Warlock. We talked about tier. Affliction Warlock has the most broken tier you've ever seen in your life. So, Affliction Warlock tier is... You have a chance that your UA does extra damage and spreads to 2 bonus people. So I just want you guys to imagine that. You're fighting a UA lock, which is fucking insane already. And your 2 set spreads UA to 2 people and makes it do extra damage. And then your 4 set is that always happens when you Dark Glare. Like what? So every single time you Dark Glare, you're going to UA the whole team. And it does extra damage. It's completely wild. Affliction Warlock will be S tier. I think Affliction Warlock will be the best ranged DPS in the game. 100%. I have no doubt in my mind that Affliction Warlock will be the best ranged DPS in the game. Master spell easy. You're just going to die immediately. Yeah, everyone's dead. Okay, so... We've got beautiful Affliction Warlocks up there. There's 2 more Warlock specs. We've got Demo, Destro, and of course Shadow Priest and Boomkin. And you guys already know where those are gonna go. Where do you think I'm gonna? Well, actually, I won't spoil anything. All right, let's see. Demo Warlock's a big question mark for me. I feel like pet classes in general, people are learning to deal with them better, like crowd controlling pets. You know. Getting down Rings of Frost and Novaing and mass rooting and, you know, just being really annoying. I personally like Demo a lot. I think it could be good. I think there's potential for Demo. I think I'm going to put it at B. But I do think there's potential for Demo to be A. But I think just because there's certain things that counter it so bad. You can kind of play around... you know, all the pets that you summon and stuff like that. Like, you're able to shut down the damage. I think it's B tier, but I part of me wants to put it in A, because I think it's after the buffs, I think Demo could be good. But I've said this so many times in the past. When Demo just gets buffed and buffed and buffed and buffed. I'm like, yep, that's a Demo meta. It's a Demo meta. There's a chance that Demo ends up being really, really strong. And hopefully we see comps like, you know, Frost Mage Demo make a big comeback. But, yeah, it remains to be seen. I'm going to put it here. I'm going to put it at B tier. I'm actually going to make a decision, too. I'm going to make an executive decision. I'm going to put Unholy Death Knight at B tier as well. I think the survivability of Death Knights has been put in my mind. Like, the question of survivability for Death Knights has been put in my mind. I'm going to put Unholy down. I'm actually going to put Frosty K even a tier lower. I'm going to put Frosty K at C tier after the nerfs. So we're going to make some last second adjustments. Okay? So we got Unholy at B and Frost at C. Just a last second little movement there. That's what we're doing. Because I do think that Frost will be worse than Unholy. But I don't know if I can safely say that Unholy is going to be like... It's not going to just fall over dead. It might. Okay. Hopefully that, you know, solves some issues with people. I think that that's totally fair. Destro. So Destro is another one of those specs where it just consistently gets buffed. It just gets buffed and buffed again 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 and buffed again. And it just got another fucking 20% Chaos Bolt buff. It got another 20% Chaos Bolt buff. Like, if Destro... I think Destro was really sleeper last season. I think Destro is going to be good. I'm putting it at A tier. I don't care what anyone says. I think Destro will be good. Another 20% buff. Like, I don't know if it's going to be S tier, but I really think that Destro is going to be super duper good. Like, I think it's an insanely underrated spec for how strong it is right now. And I kind of look forward... I'm going to be honest with you guys. I kind of look forward to the idea that Resto Shamans are going to be able to play with a Destro Warlock. I like the idea that, like, Frost and Destro are going to be able to play again. I want to play MLS with Sky Fury. Yeah, that sounds fun to me. Like, play fucking Sky Fury, Frost Mage, Destro with a Resto Shaman. Like, part of me hopes that could be a thing again. Sky Fury has huge potential, especially with the big buffs to Chaos Bolt. Like, it is nuts, man. I also... another thing about Destro and just Warlocks in general is I think there's going to be some compositions that can really take advantage of the new Bloodstones. Which is... it can be very strong. So basically the Bloodstones, you trade your Hellstone. So you can't heal with Hellstone anymore, but when you pop Hellstone, it gives you Bloodlust. So could you imagine, like... popping Bloodstone every cooldown in the game from like a Mage Lock Shaman with Sky Fury and Bloodstones? It's gonna be pretty good, I think. And I'm gonna say this now: the reason Chaos Bolt got buffed because ROI did more in single target. Mazi discovered it. Well, okay, it's still gonna be good, yeah. JK, someone just one shots. Bloodstone plus PI. Yeah, it's gonna be great, man. Is this the PvP talent? It is. Okay. Shadow Priest. We got Shadow Priest and Boomy left. Boomies... I think Boomies are going to be very similar to how they are now. I think Boomies... I think I'll put them at A tier. I think Boomies are solid. You know, they have good crowd control. Cyclone did get nerfed, unfortunately. But I played a decent amount of Boomy. I think it's good. Having 2 charges of your... whatever it's called, your Celestial Alignment, gives you a ton of burst opportunities in the game. Boomies that are good at kiting can maneuver around the map a lot. Super T is gonna hate you. I mean, I just don't know what to say about that. I think Boomy's solid, man. I can't really... I can't imagine a world where Boomy's worse than like Dev Evoker. I just feel like Boomy's really solid. You know? I'll literally log on Boomy right now and play. I'll log on Boomy right now and play. I don't care. Yeah, I'm gonna log into the world of Meleecraft and see how we do. Even Super T's down on Boomy, the classes in shambles. I'm gonna be honest, man. Super T's is often down on Boomy. He's often down on Boomy. I'm not gonna lie, man. I think he's often down on Boomy. But yeah, like I said, if Boomy sucks, here's the thing: if we run into a situation where Boomies just get ran at and they just die, then they're not gonna be good. But if that doesn't happen, then they're definitely going to be solid. Their damage is completely unavoidable. It's really high burst. They still have Cyclone. Like, I don't really imagine them being bad. And then last but certainly not least, Shadow Priest. One of the coolest PvP specs. I think they look really good too. I'm going to put them at A tier. I think they're still like one of the most durable specs in the game. They have some of the most instant crowd control in the game. Things like Psyfiend open up lots of opportunities. I will say Shadow Priest is probably my least favorite thing to play, just because you're just literally getting tunneled the entire game, just getting kicked, and if you play Shadow Priest, you're gonna get trained every single game, no matter what. Even if you're the best Shadow Priest in the game at living, you still just get trained. So that's why I don't like Shadow Priest that much, but it's not bad, that's for sure. Super good. You should try Enhance into classes with good mobility. It's borderline unplayable. If you have high uptime, Enhance is fine. So, Big Damn, you know what? I feel like you're an honest man, all right? And we're gonna use a little phone a friend here. Big Damn, would you say that Enhancement Shaman right now is not A tier? give me your what do you think? So, are you saying like against classes you have uptime, it's S tier, but against classes that kite you, it's not so good? What do you think? I'm actually curious on your insights because Enhance is one that I'm not overly familiar with. What do you think, bro? It's A tier. Mobility just sucks. Okay. Big Damn says it's A tier. I trust that. All right, here we go, guys. This is my official day one PvP season tier list. I'm staking my reputation on this, but this is not like, this is subject to change. We're going to do an updated one at the end of next week, and I'll let you know if anything changes here, okay? So this is my prediction. We'll see if I'm wrong. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not, though. Maybe I'm right. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm freaking right. I could be right. Y'all gonna be haters then.